Canada has always supported Ukraine on its path to democracy. We at Alinea are proud to stand with Ukrainians as they pursue that path. Alinea International is a global development firm that partners with people worldwide to address challenges in their countries. With the financial support of Global Affairs Canada, we have supported implementation of more than 60 reforms in Ukraine over the last 14 years. We started our work by helping the Ministry of Justice establish a probation system for youth in Ukraine, which formed the basis for the adult probation system. Today, approximately 55,000 people who commit minor crimes are sentenced to probation rather than prison, giving them a chance to rehabilitate without being isolated from society. We prioritize reforms that directly impact citizens. For example, we work with the Ministry of Social Policy to reduce the number of children living in orphanages by developing services for children in their own communities, which allows them to receive specialist care while remaining with their families. In 2015, we supported the launch of an administrative services reform. We partnered with the Ministry of Digital Transformation to reduce the wait time, number of steps, and overall bureaucracy to make services more accessible for every Ukrainian. Starting from the youngest. With our support, the government of Ukraine combined 12 different services related to the birth of a child into one service called eBaby. Now, Ukrainian parents complete registration for all newborn services by filling out one form in the hospital. The healthcare system has undergone significant changes by digitizing health services, known as the e-health system. We helped the Ministry of Health to develop an electronic platform for e-health, which resulted in the creation of such vital services as electronic medical records, prescriptions, specialist referrals, sick leave, and immunization, making them more accessible to every Ukrainian. This is far from a complete list of the changes we have helped Ukraine achieve over the years. Central to our approach is localization. We believe that empowering local efforts and engaging local experts is the path to sustainable solutions. Funding from Global Affairs Canada has enabled the hiring of hundreds of Ukrainian experts who have been seconded to the government to make reforms happen. On February 24, 2022, for us, as for millions of Ukrainians, everything changed. Today, our efforts focus on helping the Ukrainian government manage its work in a time of war. This means challenges we had never imagined, starting with the vast humanitarian need. In the early days of the war, we helped communities to prepare and care for internally displaced persons. We helped to evacuate more than 3,000 persons in imminent danger, particularly those vulnerable due to age or health status. We stocked shelters and helped local and national authorities meet the critical needs of citizens for food and medical supplies. Within weeks of the invasion, we procured and distributed emergency assistance valued at more than 25 million Canadian dollars. Thanks to Global Affairs Canada and other partners such as AFIA Foundation, diaspora groups, and the private sector. In addition to the humanitarian crisis, Ukraine is facing issues it hasn't since World War II, such as insufficient food supplies. We helped Ukrainians take food security into their own hands and plant thousands of victory gardens for themselves and their communities across the country. We also worked closely with the local authorities to help them develop local programs on food self-sufficiency. As a result, 142 HA were allocated for victory gardens in 10 pilot communities, from which more than 1,550 tons of vegetables were harvested and distributed to vulnerable groups. We have also helped schools adapt the education delivery to wartime conditions, while also continuing to work towards greater inclusivity and ensuring quality. To re-establish access to education for children who are in communities that were occupied or heavily damaged, We have established 24 well-equipped digital learning centers, which have been providing educational activities for more than 11,000 children since December 2022. To better protect children in orphanages, we designed a safe evacuation process and a system for tracking children displaced within the country and abroad in the first few weeks of the war. In partnership with government agencies, we supported the creation of the Children of War web portal and 5 consultancy centers, which provide rapid assistance to families of missing children. In the first year of the war, we developed a social education platform to enable access to the most needed resources and training for local governments and social service providers, no matter where they are in Ukraine. To date, almost 3,000 government stakeholders have taken training courses on child protection, social service planning, and crisis social support to better respond to the needs of citizens. With the millions of migrants moving to safe territories and other countries, we provided information to more than 10 million Ukrainians on the risks posed by human traffickers and on where to get help both in Ukraine and abroad. As Ukraine continues to fight a complex information war, it needs to engage more than ever with international as well as domestic audiences. Together with the Ministry of Culture and Information Policy, we are devising new approaches to communicate effectively about Ukraine. We are also working on strengthening social cohesion among Ukrainians through promotion of shared authentic traditions and culture. Despite all the challenges of war, with international partners, Ukraine starts making its first steps towards post-war recovery, following the key principle: building back better. To support Ukraine on this path, in partnership with the Ministry of Restoration, we launched the community-led Inclusive Recovery Initiative. By building local governments' capacity in the processes of planning and implementing recovery projects, we are enabling communities themselves to drive their recovery and ensure that it is a recovery that works for everyone, including the most vulnerable. Recovery also requires a coherent, transparent, and inclusive planning and reporting process. We have trained more than 6,000 civil servants on result-based and citizen-centric approaches for designing and managing sectoral reforms, and helped develop more than 30 national strategic documents. We have designed a custom-developed IT solution, Project UA, to digitalize the processes of government-wide strategic planning and monitoring policy implementation, as well as make informed decisions. With the support of Global Affairs Canada, we continue to work for a better future for Ukraine. Stand with Ukraine. We thank our Ukrainian colleagues and our partners for defending Ukraine's sovereignty and making these achievements happen, and the Government of Canada for the funding that makes it all possible.